Right? Growth mindset. I'm the only one doing that.
We'll call the meeting to order this evening. Thanks everyone for coming, and be careful going home tonight. Going to be icy. Okay, you want to offer us a prayer?
I'd be happy to. Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together safely this evening. We ask that we do your work, that we stay focused on what's best for our kids. Help us to exhibit servant leadership, Lord, and give back to our school system with our time and with our decisions. Forgive us of our sins. Help us to do what is right and be good examples for you. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Doug?
Yes, ma'am.
Is Rory on there?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, introductions. I don't know who this little girl is over there.
Girl.
Jennifer Strouderman.
Janet Rose.
Sean Collard. Sheena Van Meter.
Melvin Shook.
Dixie Bean.
Doug Hines.
Rebecca Lewis. Stephanie Simmons.
Okay, welcome everyone. We have presentations this evening. The first one is student achievement recognition and virtual school updates, presented by Stephanie Simmons, our ski bunny.
And I asked Stephanie to come to give you an update because she is our, if you remember, she has an extra duty contract to work as our coordinator for virtual school.
Mhm.
And so along with her full-time position as a teacher at Moorfield Middle School, she's taken on 89, probably up to, how many now?
93.
93 today. I knew we were growing over the weekend. Virtual kids.
We're not done yet.
I
I'll
figured.
show you all the numbers here in just a second.
So I want her to give you a little update on what that looks like so you have a good idea of how we
Okay.
function with our virtual kids. All yours.
Okay, so we're going to begin by talking about what program we're using for virtual schools at this time, and it's called Acellus Learning. So Acellus Learning is an online system. It uses videos and instruction, and it's based off of the K-12 system. And it has built in within the program knowledge gaps. It does live class monitoring. It can be used by our teachers as well in-person learning as well as virtual learning. So a lot of our classes, I know at Moorfield Middle School, I'm a promoter of this. So a lot of my teachers at Moorfield Middle are using this as part of their curriculum inside the classroom. But Acellus is built not to replace the teacher, but to work as a enhancement to your classroom if you're using it in person. And as we're using it as virtual learning, it's meant to teach our students the standards. It also has, like I said, that learning gap and knowledge gaps in there. So our students are working along, and what that means is it's called vectored learning. They'll be working along, and say, for example, they come across dividing fractions in math, and they're working, that's the concept that they need to know, but they may not understand what a fraction is. So they miss a lesson. This program is going to drop it down until they get back to where they are at 100%, and then it's going to bring them back up to learning. So it fills in the holes that we may not necessarily get when we are in the in-person learning. The courses, I provided you with a copy of the elementary, middle, and high school courses that are available through Acellus. Those are the classes that our virtual students can take, and they match up very nicely with the West Virginia content standards and career readiness. These are a few pictures. They do everything in a live studio. Everything is formed either on location at the Acellus laboratories, and they film this just like a movie. There's actual production set, and I had the opportunity to go out and actually meet the math teacher here, Ms. Orndorff and I did, and get to see, where they film these. So all of the lessons are filmed by real life teachers. It isn't just something that they've dreamed up. They fly people in, and they are looking for people. So I have suggested some Harney County teachers because we have great people here as well. Some sample lessons, and this is what's on your papers. It just kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking at. And I do have a couple lessons. I'm just gonna screen.
Hey, Mr. Harper,
So this is what an elementary school lesson would
can
look
you
like.
hear us?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, you're okay. We got you on. You're good.
I just give you kind of an idea of what goes on. So this would be a second grade science lesson. This is what the students would look at as part of their learning before they would move on to an experiment that they're gonna do on the screen and then move on to questions that follow. So that's kind of an idea of what the elementary one looks like.
That's better than cartoon characters and stuff that the kids would get on some of our other things we've used.
Yeah.
This one is what a middle school one looks like. This is something that we teach in science and math right now. In 7th grade, they're doing this. I'm gonna let it go for just a second so you can kind of see what the guy is doing. He's teaching the metric unit. He's in a cave and he's teaching conversions. So he's showing them, here in a second, he's going to show them how division works to move from milliliters back to liters.
I'm gonna need to go step by step.
And this is a very hard concept to teach to students abstractly. So he does it with a video and then he'll come back to this concept.
It's a sense of
And then a high school version. Let me make this one bigger because it's kind of cool. They filmed this one live on location. It's in Boston. So they take the kids to the actual virtual field trips.
we're actually following.
And he's going to take them on a field trip through this historical journey of the Boston, into Boston Harbor, and he's gonna throw the tea off the ship. And they go to all the different places. We actually got to meet this guy. He does all of his on-site. And so the kids get to see actually what's happening. So when you're, instead of talking about it in a textbook, there's live videos that fit with all of those.
That's pretty amazing. They come on.
So that's kind of a sample of what our students are looking at, and each one of our lessons has a sample for that. So they will click on their lesson, it gives a lesson with the teacher, and then they'll go into where they have to demonstrate their knowledge. And if they need help, there are help resources down the side where they can click on that. It'll give them multiple lessons, so maybe I didn't get it the first time, I need to see it 2 or 3 more times. It also has a built-in special education for our accommodations and modifications that our students get. It has a built-in section for those students as well. It doesn't come up and say it, but it is provided by me, and I set theirs. We can also set their learning to be accelerated, and I can set it to be less accelerated. I don't know what the word is there, but I have a button where I can move them up. So if a student is doing super well and I see that they're progressing and it doesn't seem to be challenging them, then I go in and can move it up a level so they can be challenged a little bit more. It just adds more steps to their learning. All right, so the meat of what we're using this for, we had 97 students prior to semester ending, if the semester will ever end and grades will ever go on because of the weather. Currently, there are 93 active students. Now, this number is going to change here in just a second because we did have a few. So MES has 3 students, 1 in kindergarten and 2 in 1st grade, and they are doing very well. MIS has 5 students over there, and they do have 2 students that actually had to move and they wanted to stay with Hardy County Schools, so they are in our virtual program. So they are doing this very remotely, but they do come in and see me every week. And then MMS has 7 students and a possibility of adding 4 more. There are 4 that have filled out paperwork, but the principal is waiting until the benchmark assessments happen before he releases them to go. There are 4 students that are actually in the school that have requested to go virtual for various reasons. MHS, this is where the bulk of our students are. We have 55. 2 of them have been returned to in-person learning. It was just not a good fit for those students, and now there are 53. East Hardy Elementary School has 6, and 2 of them, the mother returned to in-person learning. She just couldn't do it anymore, so they are down to 4. They were doing well, but it just did not work out. And East Hardy Middle School and East Hardy High School, they have 21, and I was told there are 2 more coming that are not Hardy County students. They're going to be added. There are new students coming in, but I have not been given their papers yet. So roundabout number there. Now, what does that mean? 82 students passed their classes at a passing rate for the first and second 9 weeks. So 82 of our 93 students passed. There are 11 that did not make the cut, and what that simply was because of lack of attendance and lack of effort. A lot of students, a lot of those 11 are not new to our school as far as needing that little bit of nudge. I just couldn't nudge them enough. So they're going to be transitioning back to in-person learning, or we're coming up with an alternate plan. All 11 of those are at Moorfield High School, just so you know. And Ms. Campbell and I have been working diligently to have SAT meetings, to talk to parents, to bring in the students, to figure out how we can best help them. Of the 82 students, though, I will tell you there were 3 students that were on the verge of dropout that would not have made the graduation. They would not have graduated. They did pass. They have passed their classes. They are, in their minds, done, but they still have 4 more classes to go until they officially get their diploma. So that's pretty exciting. And those 3 students worked diligently, lots of phone calls, lots of pushing there to get that done, but they were able to do that. So final total, there are 82 before we add the possibility of 6 more transferring in. So at the end of the day, I'm going to say I'll have 88 by Monday. I don't know that to be a fact because I'm waiting on these 11 to see what the plan for those students are. It may be that they see me, and I do run after school at Moorfield Middle as well. So any virtual student is allowed to come to the after school at Moorfield Middle School and get assistance. And I do have a few high school students that show up, and then there are a few that are showing up at the night school with Ms. Orndorff. There are 2 that of those 11 that are going to transition to night school. So that was a better fit for them. They had been there previously, and then we moved them to virtual, and now we're moving them back because that's where they belong. That's all I have. That was just kind of a quick synopsis of where we are, what we're doing. It's a good program. It's a very, very good program. The students do like it. I get a lot of good comments of the lessons being things that aren't, babyfied. They're actually things that they would be learning in the classroom. And like I said, a bunch of the teachers at Moorfield Middle are testing this out. They're using partial lessons. They're using some lessons. And then in our health class, Mr. Keplinger actually used the full class as it was intended for health. And those students did very well with it this past time.
Could a high school student get enough classes to do virtual school to graduate?
Yes, sir.
Ever attending school?
Yes. And we do have one student that hasn't been in in-person learning since 3rd grade, and he is a sophomore this year. Yes. Yeah, it is possible to go the whole way with a SLS learning and never have to step foot inside of an in-person learning classroom. And I do have a hybrid. I have 4 students that are hybrid where they come to Moorfield High School for 1 class. Couple band members wanted to stay with the band, so they're doing 3 classes of virtual with me and then coming in for the music instruction. I have 2 that are doing they're with Mrs. Slack. I'm not sure exactly, it's her food service program. I don't know which one, baking and pastry and her other classes. She has a couple that are trying to complete. So they had went virtual in between, and they come in for just the 1 class for her. But I do have, we've been molding and building schedules what's best for our students, just to get them so they can pass and they're learning, and everybody is doing well. I've not had any negative, knock on wood, any negatives so far. Parents have been very nice. I email out instructions on, what things are coming up, like as far as, getting your graduation stuff mailed in, getting, if there's an activity at the school, the principals are really good about sending it to me. Those students can attend it if they want. And so I send out an email to that group of parents, hey, this is going on at East Hardy or Middle School, or this is going on with Moorfield Elementary. If your student wants to attend, they can. So, and we've been having kids come in and do. And then I do have 2 medically fragile students on here at Moorfield Middle that were new to Hardy County that I just got, and they actually were able to come to some of the activities in the evenings with their parent. That was the first time they've been to anything as well. So some good things going on.
This has helped us to try to maintain some of the loss in enrollment because we've been able to pull kids in from other counties or a few homeschool kids that came back that were interested in going this route. So it's
And
been a
some of them
positive.
have come back from the school that was made up on the
Yes.
highway.
Yeah, the micro
Yeah.
school that they're
Yeah, I
working
forget
up
what
with
it's called.
yeah, with
Yeah, but I've had at
church.
least 6 come back that have joined us back with this. And I actually have one that's doing both.
yeah.
She's going.
Didn't
How
those
many out of
folks get
county
the Hope
students do you have?
Scholarship?
You know?
They can't if they come back to us.
That weren't enrolled in Hardy County, I think we're up to 10 that are literally virtual.
Right.
They're not really right in our school system, but I do have some kids who would be going other places if they weren't doing virtual as well. Yeah, and I've been trying to caution the principals, it isn't for everyone, and they have to log in daily, and I do track them daily. I have office hours where I call the parents or call kids or check in, and most of the kids that are at the high school level know me anyway. They've seen me around, so it's kind of, hey, that's Mrs. Simmons, she knows she's gonna track me down if I don't do it anyway, so.
And last year we had, to give you just an idea, last year we had about 40, I think 45.
44.
44,
Yeah.
that's how we ended
Yeah.
with virtual kids. So these kids now are, I mean, you can see we made good use of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, so once I get those 11 squared away, we'll be back into just clockwork. Most students are doing very well. They're logging in, they're doing it. I do answer text messages till 11 every night on my cell phone. If a kid gets stuck or a parent needs something, they send me a message. That was just my policy. You could even text me at any given time up to 11, but you gotta tell me who you are and what you need, so I can fix it. And I have access to the virtual platform at any given time. I can fix it. But it seems to be working very well. I mean, it's way better than what we've ever had. The kids are very much using it, and I do have a few of kids are doing coding. They're doing some really cool things, like some really high level science stuff that will move them forward. So, and Acellus does have if the Acellus classes, they have a graduation rate of entrance of college it's pretty high. Like they showed us all of the whips and bangs and fun stuff when we were out there, and their interest rate to college through Acellus Learning is like 95%.
Good.
And
So
it
it's
saves us a ton
definitely
of money.
rigorous. It's good use of money.
Yeah.
It was much more reasonable.
And you're facilitating it really well.
Yeah, you do a nice job.
Well, I did tell her when I got to 100. That may be the point where I'm like, the flag's up. No, I'm still good. We're still good. We're still moving. Kids are doing good. It's just, it makes it difficult when one school's on a block schedule and the rest of the world is on a full year, because I've had to reinvent the wheel, and it takes about 2.5 hours to put Moorfield High School's grades in by themselves.
You won't
Because
have
of-
to do that next year.
Because of all this stuff going on. But, yes, yeah, and Patty and Stoll and I have a good relationship now. We've been passing kids back and forth. She does create all the classes for us. So, but it matches up nicely with the West Virginia curriculum. So anybody else have any questions? You guys have lists though, if you see somebody out or somebody who has a homeschool kid and, hey, you may want to try this out, hand them that and tell them, because it does, the homeschool groups are talking about this. They do know about this, and I'm getting more, and I look for more to come back next year after everybody test drove it this year. There's been a lot of conversation and a lot of people saying, hey, that's not too bad. That's not that silly whatever, from 3 or 4 years ago where it was all cartoons and it wasn't really lined up directly with what we're doing. So,
Thank you, Stephanie.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
That's
you.
good.
Thank you.
The people that bought Lisa Kessel's mom's house, they're homeschooling 4 kids.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. It would be nice if they knew about this.
Well, maybe we can share the list and, you have this in a link.
I do.
Can you email it to me?
Sure can.
We'll get it out there. and get people looking at it.
Okay, so next up, child nutrition updates. Rebecca. Miss Becca.
Oh, good evening,
Good evening.
cold evening. I really don't have a lot. I just have some information I wanted to give you all on child nutrition. Usually I do a report at the halfway through the year, and this would be that time. So between August and December, of this year, as in comparison to last year, we are less when it comes to reimbursements. We're about $30,000 less. Actually, it's about 29,000, but that's as close to 30 as you can get. So, we're down about $30,000 reimbursement wise for child nutrition, and that's the school breakfast and the school lunch program. Not exactly sure why that is. So, I've looked into it, although it, on a good note, I guess we're also down in expenses. So, that's something as well. Our child and adult care food program, which is our after-school snacks and our after-school supper programs, it's also down this year. So I'm not exactly sure why that is dropping, but everywhere it seems to be dropping a little bit. It looks like all schools are down, by the way, in the child nutrition program this year, except for one. And that was East Hardy Elementary School, which was up in breakfast and in lunch counts. So I want to say kudos to them. That was good.
I would have guessed
Back to
it'd be
this,
Nancy.
Yeah, well, back to the CACFP, which was the after-school suppers, and the snacks. The number of meals actually dropped from last year to this year. We have more snacks, which really don't give us as much reimbursement, but we have a lot less suppers, which are where the reimbursements are. So there's like a difference between $4.43 for a supper to $1.21 for a snack. So, we're up in snacks, but it really doesn't help us a whole lot, as much as the suppers do. But all of these funds return to the child nutrition program at the end of the school year. Like this, East Hardy High School is still killing it. I think I say that every year. Nancy and her staff out there, last year, during the 23-24 school year, out of the total suppers that we do in the evening, she had 83%. That was contributed by East Hardy High School. This year, the 24-25, and this is between August and December of both years, they're now doing 89% of the suppers in the evening for the county. That's an average of 59 suppers per day, in addition to the lunches that they do and also the breakfast. So it's like doing, that's 3 full meals.
All the schools do the after school?
They do at different times of the year. So we have some that, do it for a little while. It depends on who needs them, who's running what programs in the afternoon, and, if they request them, then they will do them. Let's see. Do you have any questions about any of that so far?
Who qualifies for the suppers?
Anybody?
Any student at
Any
the school?
student, yes. And any activity that they may come in to participate in, or even if they don't participate, they still qualify. So even if someone's just hungry and they know there's a program going on where they're being, served suppers or snacks, they can come in and get that even though they don't participate.
But that happens after the buses have run.
It has. Yeah.
So that leaves a lot of the kids out who may be hungry and would like something.
Yeah, if they know there's something going on, then usually, believe me, especially at East Hardy High School where they know there are suppers, they stay after.
Okay.
I think 59 is that's a very big number.
It is.
Okay,
That's what they're serving on average?
that's on average.
What was last year
For the
since we're
day.
down?
Average, I didn't mark that down here last year, but at one point last year, she was doing 70.
I was gonna say it has
During
to be over there just because
Yeah.
they do the largest percent of them. So they
Yes.
must be doing fewer than they normally do.
I think there are less schools doing them this year. Last year, the other high school was also doing suppers more than the snacks. This year, they're doing more snacks. So I think they just dropped in the supper count.
Do you have an example of what the supper consists of?
It's just like a lunch. It's got an entree, it's got fruits, it's got vegetables. And of course, your entree is like a grain and a meat, so then it has the fruits and vegetables and it's got a milk. And that's pretty much what your supper would be. Now, what they do at the East Hardy side, and I think they do it at all the schools when they do a supper, because they also do them at Northfield Elementary, and they've done them over here at the high school. They make them, they put the items in the warmer, so like pizza, for example. They'll put them in a warmer, and then the teachers that are doing, taking control of the tutoring or whatever program it is in the afternoon will come and pull them out of the warmer and then serve them to the kids. So usually it's a warm supper, just like a lunch.
How do they know how many to prepare? I mean,
A lot of times whenever they bring the program to the staff, of course, we have to have a number to plan for. So they'll give us a number to plan for, just how many they expect to be there. If the program runs for a little while, you can see who's going to show up, and then it gets to be more of, you have a better idea. You can get a better number.
so you're depending on someone to come to you and say, look, we're having an after-school something this evening. And if that isn't followed through, if they aren't doing that, then your numbers are gonna be down.
Yeah, that's true. And they can do it for anything, like anything. Tutoring in the, in the afternoon.
The sports or anything like that, it's the same way,
Like
right?
that, yes, sports. There has to be some sort of educational aspect to the sport, even if they show, a video. I mean, things like anything that's educational. But yes, they can do it for the sports. They can do it for, really anything, clubs and any kind of class activities in the afternoon.
So like Stephanie, you said you do an after-school program.
We do, yes.
What,
We serve only snacks.
do you know why you don't do the suppers? You know why?
Some of them, I think they take the leftovers that they've got and they use them in the afternoons. So, it's
They
a
do, and
preference.
I've seen them do that.
At different schools?
Yes,
Okay.
I've
That-
seen them with leftovers from lunch.
That's simply the way it's been set up.
Okay.
And they can be either, I have talked to a couple of schools because it seems like they put a lot of stuff into their snack where, a snack is just like a fruit and a milk and, that's pretty much it. 2 out of 5 different components.
Our snack
That's all.
is usually consist of like Uncrustable, milk, and maybe cheese.
And see, that's really dangerously close to a supper. So, I mean, some of the
Yeah.
foods that could be, they
I mean,
could
that's
just add maybe
could
one
add
more
Or to be
thing
a
and have
yogurt
it
have a supper.
and some
Yeah,
kind of fruit.
dangerously close. It could be considered a supper, put it that way, because it does have an entree with it and then, something, like a fruit and a milk.
I've seen them make ham and cheese sandwiches and put them in the bags with the other parts and pieces.
Yes, and some of those things could actually, if they put like maybe one more thing into the bag or just, one more component, then it could consider, they could consider it a supper. So I have talked to a couple.
Who
of schools
controls
about
that? Who controls if it's a snack or if it's,
Well, actually, the kitchens have determined that.
Ours are very close, I'll say that.
Yeah, they would be.
right?
Ours are right on the edge. We do have a hot something most of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a cereal bar, but most of the time they'll have like one hot thing and then we get a milk with it.
Yeah, and like a snack would be something like a cereal bar and maybe just a drink, like a milk to go with that in the afternoon. That's just something really simple. But the suppers actually get us more of a reimbursement and they're better depending on, what kids you've got after and what you're planning to do. Some of the sports do not want the big suppers because, it's too much for the students to do whenever they're playing sports, especially in the summertime because you don't want milk when it's hot out. So, different things like that. But that's how it's determined. And a lot of the times we've actually had the teachers that have, requested maybe a snack or, they've requested supper. So it happens a couple of different ways. Usually it's the kitchen, they'll say, hey, I can serve snacks if you'd like that for your program, or I can serve suppers if you'd like that for your program.
Becca, do you think you could do a little flyer where it has like, that we could give it to all the coaches and all the after-school folks that says, hey, don't forget this is available to you, you just have to let your school know, and then show maybe like on the left-hand column, this is what would be in a snack, this is what would be in a supper,
That would be a great idea.
and then we could just make sure every after-school person got it, and maybe a little slip on the bottom that they could cut off that says, I'd like to have the mark the supper or the snack thing, and then they could turn that in and.
Yeah.
And if that gets turned in, all of our kitchens are equipped to do that, right?
They are.
Okay, that'd be great. Then we could X number of kids at what days, and we could have like a little system in place where they could request it.
Right, and it is really great because we used to have to separate all the expenses from the program to, between child nutrition and the CACFP program. But now if we have something left over in child nutrition, we're permitted to use that for the CACFP. So, I mean, it all kind of boiled down to the same thing.
Our kids sign up ahead of time. Like, we have a sign up where the kids sign up if they're staying.
Good.
So we
And
So you would know how
so
many.
we know, like, the program runs on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the sign up is Monday. So
if
we
you
already
wanted to
know
do
how many
suppers
kids,
versus.
how many are coming, so we try to avoid waste.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, and we are using all of the leftovers as much as we can.
Is
I
it,
think it's a great program, but it'd be a program to be easy to get lost if nobody follows through with it.
It's a communication thing.
Exactly.
It is a
I
communication
agree with
thing.
that. So,
They-
yeah.
is it
Follow
possible
the
the sports
I've
teams
been
which are
kind of
here, there,
wondering how
know
to mush it
who's gonna be
together
there or
in
not?
Some of the programs, so that's a good idea.
Is it possible to one day have a supper and one day to have a snack?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, and like I said, depending on, some of the teachers have requested specific things, whether it was snacks or suppers. So any of the schools can do either a snack or a supper, or both.
at the same time?
I don't think they're allowed to unless their timing is different. You can't serve them at the same,
Right,
time, like 3
to,
o'clock.
to the same group,
Yeah, you could do it later, after that.
to a different
So maybe
different
like the golf
function.
team gets the snack, but the
Football team wants
the
supper.
Yeah, based on different.
And like I said, they have to be timed at different times, like they get their snack at 2:50 and then the other folks get their supper at 3:15. Something like that would be possible.
Okay. But the cooks are not there at that time. It's up to the
They're not.
teachers.
Yeah, and the teachers have been great, because they've gone in and they've taken them out, there's paperwork and everything to fill out, they get like a little circle sheet where they can circle how many students actually ate. We don't need names or anything for that. Yeah, there's a training.
Yeah.
Stephanie knows
There's
this.
a.
It sounds good.
Use everything, so you know where it is exactly.
Yeah.
I can see that being helpful at East Hardy where the kids don't have a McDonald's to run to or, I think that sounds great.
And they do great over there.
The kids,
If there's
Do it.
leftovers, who puts those up? The teachers or?
yeah.
If they have anything left over, yeah, they put them back in the refrigerator before they leave at the end of the day. And then on the circle sheet, they circle how many students actually got, the meals. So that they'll know the next time, well,
Oh,
this is the
they
only, these folks didn't eat, we're not gonna make as many, and that's where that comes down.
Wow.
So, yeah, it is a good program. And actually, the Premier Edge program we talked about the last time that I was in front of you all. It was the new program that we've gotten. I've got several modules. The staff is now doing the ordering online, they're doing inventory online. In the program, I've got the menu online. So they can pull up all of the information online from the menu. So, and they can even, I think it's really neat, and I just have to share. There's a thing called a grocery list. So once they do their production plans out like a week, they can, with a plan, they plan on how many students they believe will eat. So they can estimate, this is how many I believe is going to eat on this day, and this day. When they pull up their little grocery list, it tells them exactly the item numbers that they're going to purchase because it's based on what's on the menu. So they pull up the item numbers to purchase and it even tells them how many cases of those items to purchase. So, it's really kind of cool. You can plan for the entire week and all you have to do is pull it up and it tells you, what is going to be necessary to feed all of the students that you have planned for. So I think that's a great thing. And it should, Stephanie had mentioned waste, and that's something that should really help when it comes to preventing a lot of waste. So I'm excited about that. There's a couple of little kinks in it right now, and we're working through it with baby steps. And I'm currently working with the Premier Wedge folks to make sure that everything's in place, everything's in there accurately, and we're going back through a lot of the items, and there's a lot of items, but we're going back through everything just to make sure that the case counts are in there correctly. That, when it does pull up those grocery lists, it's gonna say, like 15 cases and not 150 cases, something. So we're I'm trying to work through that and get everything cut and dry and as usable as possible.
And we did provide them with in-person training.
Yes, that was in
I was gonna
December.
make sure they do that.
Yeah, and I had good feedback from that. The staff all seemed to really like the presenter and she explained a lot of things. One thing that she said whenever she left, I liked because she said that the state would be paying for the menu planning module because they now have it. And they're going to be using that for reviews and for audits. And I knew that was coming. I just wasn't sure that it was going to be this soon. So I was very happy about that.
Mhm.
So next year we won't be paying for that. The state will be picking up the tab on that one. So, yay. But, and I did want to, everybody's done a great job. All the schools have gotten in touch with me and we've been trying to work through any little issues that may be in the program along with Premier Edge. So they've been doing a great job in working through it. And I know starting something is very difficult, initially, but I think they're all kind of getting their feet wet and, they're doing better on it. And I think they'll do a great job.
Good.
Was there any questions about any?
How is the, you switched to a 5-week menu, is that correct? How is that working?
It's okay. I just started that in January. So we only had the 4 weeks in January. Of course, the weeks have been getting shorter every time. But I do have a February menu here. I just didn't make copies. So I was going to give you all the February menu before it comes out. If you want me to, else I can send it to Sean and she can email it if you want it, or else I can do that.
That'd be good if you would send it.
Yeah, I can do that if you can. But yeah, I do have those. That's all done. That's ready to go. And then you'll be able to see how it's cycling. And from time to time, and on February's menu, I did have like 2 Cook's Choice days. And that is because we've had so many snow days, we need to use that for that. So that's what they're going to do. The only other thing that I actually had was the CRDC report. That's the Civil Rights Data Collection Report is open. And I've gotten some information on that and putting that in. It's due the beginning of March is the deadline for that. So I did get an email, and I'm not sure if you've gotten that or not. They may actually do it again next year, and then 2 more years after that is what they're going to do on the 2 years rather than the 3 years that they were on before. So all of that information should be put in by March, and hopefully that'll, that'll work out really well on time and everything. Do y'all have any questions?
Thank you, Becca.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Okay, next up's public comments, and I don't think we have any. So the next thing's the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent items. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and it's approved. Is Rory on there? 4-0. Next we go to unfinished business, the budget update. It is attachment 5.
Before I start, just to let you guys know, I did not, this bank reconciliation is with the bank reconciliation actually not done. I didn't get the bank statement from Burke and Herbert until the 16th. So this was sent out to you guys on the 15th, I think. So it has not actually been reconciled. So this is without it gone through the system. It should still be the same. But when it is actually reconciled, if anything changes, I will resend it out to you guys with an explanation of any changes. So in other words, this is just out of the system without uploading the bank rec because I didn't have the upload. I didn't have the PDF upload to do. So it's just straight out of our system. Should include everything unless something was automatically deducted or withdrawn that didn't get recorded in our system.
Just so they know how that works, that comes directly to you as an automatic report from
Yeah,
the
from
bank.
the bank. It's generated from the bank, sent to
It's not
us.
something we have to act, like it comes to us, so there's just been issues on that end, not
Yeah.
something we missed. I just
Yeah,
wanted to
that
clarify,
is,
we didn't do
yeah.
anything wrong on
Not
that.
something we missed, it's just been an adjustment they made from
New systems,
the
yeah.
new systems and the new folks that are handling it now. But, anyway, hopefully I'll have it done in the next couple of days. And if anything has changed, I'll get it out to you guys I'll let you know when it's done, one way or the other. If everything's the same, I'll still shoot y'all an email and say, everything was good, we had it, we're good. if anything happens to change, I'll send you out a new one and explain what any change might have been. And I'll also apologize because I did not get around to making that adjustment for the retirement and the pension. So that's going to be the big difference on this expenditure by object report. If you look at the expenditures to date for FY25, it's 9.3 million. And if you look at to this point in FY24, it was 11 million. And that big adjustment that we make around December for the pension, once they send us out that amount that we're supposed to make that adjustment for, is usually the difference there. And that was something that I hoped to get done, and it's just been a little crazy, and I apologize because I did not get that done. I do plan to make the transfers into Grant County Bank on the 24th. Once the accounts payable are done that day, we're going to make the transfer on that. And just to reiterate again, for the community or anyone, there were no issues over the last several years with Summit Community Bank. This is something that the state was just saying, hey, every 5 years, you really need to go out, you really need to bid out for financial services. But it had nothing to do with the merger. It had nothing to do with any unsatisfactory issues in the past. It was just with the change and with changing account numbers and the possibility of a change, it seemed like a good time to go out. But I just want to make sure that everyone does understand that it had nothing. They're great supporters of our schools, have been, and they've served us well the last several years. And in 5 years, we'll hopefully continue this and go out to bid again in 5 years. The auditors, just to give you guys a heads up on some other just bookkeeping stuff, the auditors are scheduled to be here February 4th through the 7th. She said they would probably not be here all 4 days, but she's given herself a little leeway that they got behind in another county and didn't get here till the 5th or so, or needed to come early and leave early to go to another county. But within that date range of February 4th through the 7th, the auditors plan to be here. And that's always a hectic time, but a good time nonetheless. And I gave you guys the paperwork to fill out for them.
Only you would say that.
It's a good time.
Our accountant thinks the auditor's coming is a good time.
It's a good time.
She gets excited about it.
I like to know that everything's going well and that we have everything in line and everything is,
It's an important time. I'll tell you that, yeah.
yes.
I would agree with that.
Yes. And I think the only other thing I had, I was just going to, I think I've looked at the travel policy, and I think I'm going to change a few things in that policy and bring it to you guys for your all's opinion on that. The state has also talked about how we are reimbursing employees for travel and are really pushing the GSA, which is set by the IRS. And I've thought about it, and we debated it the last time, and then we kind of just upped ours a little bit. But yeah, the state's kind of just saying, well, you have no reason for using your $40. At least the GSA is set by the IRS as what the meal per diem and stuff should be for travel. And then just looking at how often we reimburse someone for travel, I don't think it's often enough. It's really going to make that big a difference. And teachers haven't complained, but just thinking about Mrs. Simmons that was here, we sent her, Mrs. Warndorf, I think, to St. Louis for a week for training for Acellus, and I doubt $40 a day covered their meals in St. Louis.
Do you want to explain to him how the GSA works as far
So
as?
the GSA looks at where you're going, which is it's not often that we do send someone to a big metropolitan city like, St. Louis or DC. It's not often, but it would look at what the IRS considers an average meal to be in that area and reimburse based on that. Not necessarily an average meal, but it gives you a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then a combined daily rate based on an increase in cost of living and stuff in those areas. I just feel like it would be a good courtesy to some of the teachers and staff that we do send to those locations where it might cost more. And I know several, we're fine, but like at some of the conferences that we go to that used to give you breakfast and lunch are no longer doing that. And I'm sure it's just the cost of meal or cost of food in general going up, that they just don't have the funds to cover that anymore. So with all of those changes and the state kind of pushing that as well and looking at those policies, does anyone have any comments on that? I mean, the GSA sets it the same way, that on the days of travel, you only receive 75%, which I did take that from the GSA when we did our 40. The days of travel, you only get the 75% of that, which is the 30. It's set up that way as well. To give you an idea, in West Virginia, all of West Virginia is the same, and I think currently it's 68. I think it went up for this, because the IRS works on a regular January to December year. I think it went up to 68 for this year.
Well, and that's how we do our mileage. Our mileage is based upon the
based on
same
that.
system.
Yeah.
When it goes up, we adjust our mileage to adjust with it too.
Yeah.
Well, I agree that certainly it shouldn't cost the participant. I mean, if they choose to, have an exorbitant meal, that's on them, but, they should be able to afford to eat and,
At least cover the
and
base.
Lord have mercy, you go to McDonald's and get a sandwich or a hamburger, unbelievable.
Yeah, unfortunately, everything.
Everywhere. Yeah. You can't get out of there for,
And like I said, we don't often, go to those areas, but, for especially our teachers and service personnel and stuff, if we are asking them or requiring them to go somewhere on our behalf to an area like that, it would be, and, we can't change it in one situation if we don't change it
sure,
in the policy across the board, but,
that's a good idea.
and that's how, I did send out also just when the state started kind of pushing that or talking about it, I did send it out to the surround, all the counties. And the majority of them all use GSA. There was very few that didn't use that. Some even reimbursed a little bit more, which is crazy, because then then it becomes taxable.
Yeah.
Like anything above that is actually taxable to the person, so that would cause a whole other, problem. Or bookkeeping. But I will get that together and just see what you guys think about that.
That's good.
Anybody have any other questions about any finance in general?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, under new business, we have, approval of student attendance policy, JDJ, for first reading. It's attachment
Move to
6.
approve.
Have a motion on the floor to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Have you guys had a chance to review it?
I have, and Sean, I have,
There's a bunch of errors. I
Yeah.
mean,
I have,
on page 43, did you see where it's under J.C.'s law? It says the student's attendant, and it should be record, but it's RECOD.
I didn't, no, I missed that.
Page 4.
43.
Yeah,
Okay.
page 43 of our packet.
Actually, I started this and didn't get finished, but on the first page, page 40 of the first page of the policy, this sentence, the board also realizes that absenteeism often leads to increased delinquency, increased dropout rate, and increased employment.
Unemployment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
This
that
was
one.
Jody's policy, but we'll get it to her and get it updated. She pulled it from the state, so I'm
Okay,
not sure. If those are just errors in the state policy too, but we'll make sure we get them.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to send her, do you want to finish looking at it? Can you get one of you, whoever's going to do it, get it here maybe by tomorrow, midday? So we still
Tomorrow.
have to go out to everybody for the first reading.
I can stay and do it here. before I leave.
Well, is it all, well, we don't want to sit down with those types of
Type
errors. I
thing.
was gonna say.
It's mostly just typo.
Well,
Typos.
things like that,
Yeah.
that,
Nothing
again, it
substantive.
should have been one word and it was something else. Just here, well, I'll talk
You
to
get
you
them to
about
Sean, okay, and then we'll get them to Jody and she can
Okay.
make those adjustments before we get them out to everybody to read. That'd be great.
it. Okay.
Thank you all.
Well, on page 49,
Did we finish? Oh, I'm sorry.
um,
49.
it says there, provide 2 weeks excuse absence for the putative father of the child. I've never heard of that word. I'm assuming that it's the father, it's supposed to be the father. It's, the third paragraph,
What page?
PUTATIVE.
10 of the policy, page 49 of
Number 3.
ours.
PUT, I don't know what that word is
I didn't
either.
know what it was either. I would say that it reputed, it sounds like a breakdown from the word reputed father. So putative, I'm guessing that would mean the supposed father, but they've not.
It's generally considered
P-U-T-A-T-I-V-E.
or reputed to be. So this, the expected.
Yeah.
It
we
isn't.
think it is.
That's what I figured it must be.
Yeah.
But it's like, what the heck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the state's policy word
Yeah.
for word, so I'm sure she's.
We'll circle that word and tell someone at the state level we're impressed.
We're interested.
They probably, they probably put it in the AI.
Yeah. Okay, so, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor of sending out for first reading with corrections? You're absolutely right, Sean. Thank you. So it's approved, what, 4-0?
Did you do Leroy?
Now we go back to Sarah with the bid approval for Hardy Telecommunications for the wide area for the internet.
I think they were our only, we had another bidder, but they didn't do the paperwork correct. There was another issue with that, so these were the only eligible bidders that. Make a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the bid by Hardy Telecommunications for the 2025 Hardy County School District WAN project for Hardy County Schools. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, and it's approved 4-0.
If anybody had any questions on that, we put it out to bid. It went on, the national site as well. We had one other business, that did, they didn't follow the correct procedures, so they were eliminated for that purpose. Plus,
Yeah,
Their
they're
bid
about
was
3
a lot
times
higher.
more expensive.
right, so it wouldn't have, ultimately, it wouldn't have mattered if they had gone through all of the correct procedures. Hardy Tel still would have won the bid by far.
Is this an increase over what it has been?
I think it's actually a decrease. I believe they actually went down because I asked Tony, we discussed it last week one day, he was supposed to look at that and let me know why. I said, is there a reason why this seems like it went down? And now we do get reimbursed so much of that from the state through that, well, not the state, but through that E-rate,
Right.
funding, so, but it appeared to me that it had decreased.
Okay.
But he was gonna look, and he probably just hadn't got back to me yet.
Okay.
Any other questions about that? I'm not real tech savvy, so don't go too deep with the questions.
Okay, so next up, board member superintendent discussion, no action may be taken.
Well, we had talked previously about recognizing a certain group of students that had received a scholarship, and I wanted to circle back around to that. I know I had sent you all an email with just some concerns I had about recognizing a certain group and maybe missing somebody in the future and if that would cause any issues, but we didn't talk about it again. So I just wanted to come back and say, I'm more than happy to reach out and invite any students that you want to come. However you wanted to do that, I wanted to bring it up again to make sure we were.
I think those two young men were National Merit Scholars. Isn't that why they got the,
I don't think so. I think it was a scholarship to, I forget the name of the university.
okay. I was thinking they were merit scholars.
I don't think so.
Okay,
I-
okay,
no,
you would
it-
know.
It wasn't
And
narratives.
I agree that,
I just don't
yeah,
want
it'd be
miss
easy
someone.
to, oh, they called my kid in, or those kids in, but didn't recognize mine. And
Yeah, and I didn't want to send a message that one scholarship for one kid was worth more than what another scholarship might be for another kid at a
Yeah.
different type of school. And we
Agree
do
with
that at
you.
the end of the year at the banquets that they have at the schools. But again, I'm more than willing to invite anybody that you all want. I just wanted to bring that up again, so. And then also, I think Melvin had this note too, but ethics disclosures were due, I think on the
February 1st.
February 1st, if you haven't.
Someone might
turned
wanna
in your
remind Roy.
disclosure.
Because he's never done it before.
Okay, we'll put,
Send him an email or something.
yeah, we'll put a sticky, Sean, you have a note, maybe we can write it.
Add it on that.
Yeah, add on that pink sticky note reminder about the ethics disclosures.
Because they send you the stuff in December and you forget about it because you can't file until the 1st.
You do
Like,
forget.
what's it, like December 26th or something like that?
26 is when I got mine.
Yeah, I had to send mine in too, but, and I have a couple of other updates, but they're personnel related, so I just need to do them in executive session. When we get to personnel, I can do all that at the same time, so that's all I have.
a couple questions. Were you ever able to talk with Christy Smith about the procedures that she felt the nurses could bill to Medicaid?
I don't think we did. Did we talk to her about that? We did a bunch of Medicaid stuff with the Medicaid people, did see amidst all that, but I don't think that I ever did talk to her about that.
Because she said they're doing
I remember you saying
procedures,
that.
that
you're
can
right.
be billed, and so.
I apologize. You know,
Oh,
you're
that-
right. I remember talking about it.
That's okay, I just didn't know.
I do know when I went through that Medicaid conference and tried to get some more
With you, yeah.
information, about it, they said that the nursing piece was the hardest. I can't remember if it was because it was the hardest to get nurses to separate out what was specific just to those students, or if it was that they're just doing so much throughout the day.
Because you had to know if the kid you were working on
Oh,
was
it'd have to
Medicaid
be a
at that
specific,
point.
it would have to
We
be
did
a
talk about all
specific
that,
student.
But I never spoke specifically to
Um,
Christy when we did all that. I'll ask her if she knows about it.
Yeah, I don't,
Medicaid's
oh, I know, and we put a lot of effort in, and then if the state gets behind, they just say, oh, we're not gonna pay you. And, life goes on, and.
Every penny matters though, so.
Yeah, so, and then, of course, we've had to pay just to bill them, not to mention the time that is spent with the people that set the billing up, and it goes to Epic, so.
Well, we also get higher reimbursement for certain folks, so on your note there to check that, we also need to wrap back around about the aides, because they now have the devices, right?
Oh, using the computer, yes, they
Yeah,
do.
so they could. do that.
Yeah, they could do those random moment things now. That's
That's
true.
another area that we're gonna-
We didn't give our aides, we didn't put them into bill because they get emails where there's random moment samples where they have to go in and say, yes, at this time, at this day, I was doing this with this kid. And that's how they have like their checks and balances, I guess, their quality control in. And so we didn't do that because our aides didn't have school assigned devices. So we felt bad having them do something that was responsible. But now we've made sure that everybody has access to one. And then
Oh,
they can-
that's
so
good.
We'll be able to add that part.
And they would then throw out that if the teacher, or if the aide or whomever didn't verify that, oh, yes, that's
So we
exactly
currently-
what I was doing.
We currently have the teachers because they did have access to devices, but the aides are actually reimbursed at a higher.
Yeah,
It works out more.
yeah. Okay,
Let's
and,
see. I'm sorry.
oh, how are we doing with the building? Have we decided anything about, have they put another bathroom in, and
So-
have they decided anything about the floor?
Yes, so we got a quote on the floor. It was, almost 100,000, right?
It's very, very, very
Some-
close.
Very close to 100,000 to do the same flooring that's in Moorfield Elementary School gym. So it's that thin rubberized flooring. I told Josh to get some more quotes because I was gonna bring it to you all, but I wanted to have multiple. So we had some options. He was making the appointment. He just updated me the other day. He was making the appointment to get the fire marshal to come. They had all that stuff done. As far as the bathroom goes, we talked about it. He said he thought the best option might be to build something out back and go out and add that way onto it instead of drilling down through the concrete and trying to do it that way. He thought it might be easier to add like a section on the back for the bathrooms that you wanted the additional ones. So he was working on getting costs and all of that. I think we'll be able to open it before then, but I think that those pieces can come. It's just gonna be an easier job maybe if we're going out and adding instead of trying to dig into where they've already got it separated out in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'll probably have a
Makes
bigger
sense.
update for you at the next meeting, but
So the only holdup is fire marshal.
well, he was finishing something with the outlets because I guess Hayden's out of commission. So they were doing something with that. And then he was calling to schedule the fire marshal, and the fire marshal told him he could be here in a week just to let him know. So yeah, that's where we are. So I'm pretty good shape.
What is the status on the track money to Justin?
We got the $100,000, came in the mail just the end of last week. We got our check. Yeah, he mailed it out to us. He's not coming.
Oh,
So we'll get to miss out on baby dog, but he did send the money, so that
Oh, good.
needs to
That
come.
was the important thing. What's our status on the amount that we're supposed to, we move forward with that?
We're ready whenever they're ready for the money. We just have to sign the
Okay.
paperwork. They said to call us and to call them and they come down and take care of it.
okay, good.
Was there some heat issues that he started high school in the library last
Yes.
week?
It's been for more than a week.
Okay.
There have been heat issues for quite some time and we know what the issue is, but it's a train problem. And the train people to come on site had not given us their updated Secretary of State paperwork and insurance and all the things that we now have to have in order to bring them on property to do things. So we've been working with them for an extensive amount of time. Barbie finally went on and they had it up one day early last week. And we immediately called Mr. Keshner, then called got train here. And I'm assuming that it's fixed at this point. Where nobody's been back in there, I guess, to say that it isn't. So I'm assuming that the piece has been put in, but I know that they were coming and they were on site within days of getting them approved to come on site. But they were the only ones that they needed to come and fix it. It was a train issue.
Has
We're having
some,
an issue getting vendors to cooperate.
Yeah, to do the things they need to do business with us. So it seems like we need them way more than they need us.
has someone been walking the schools to make sure we don't have any frozen pipes or anything?
I don't know about this morning. Honestly, I haven't talked to Josh for more than just about 30 seconds today because we were both extremely busy, but I know that he had been, I know he had walked it last week and checked stuff out. And I know that we had principals and custodians in right before we had brought the kids back in for that one day. So, yeah, I'm sure somebody
No
has to hit the road
discoveries
tomorrow.
there.
Yeah, as far as I know. Now, he had some kind of a pipe. The minute I talked to him on the phone today, he was headed somewhere for a pipe that had an issue. I think across the mountain. He said, I'm in Baker, I got a pipe issue. I'll talk to you about, it was a school closure we were talking about later, but I don't have the details on that one yet. So I'll have to,
We have frozen pipe.
probably, but I don't know where
Yeah.
or what the issue is at this point.
Yeah.
And was there some heat issues at East Hardy Elementary also, or no?
Not that I've heard.
I heard that the one wing was cold, it had been cold, I'm not sure.
Not that I've heard. Yeah.
Well, if he's over there, he might check it.
Okay. Do you know which one it was?
Pre-K, on that way? I'm not sure.
I'll check it.
And condolences to David Howe, who loss of his wife. David was custodian for a long time.
And then Mrs. Harper too, she was a teacher. She was
Right.
also a very good teacher, head of PE.
Yeah, she went to Mary Washington where Sally went.
Mhm.
She was
She did.
Mary Washington graduate.
And that's all I have.
Anybody else have anything else? Okey doke. Future agenda items. Anybody have anything? Could we maybe talk about where we are? I know that I heard the announcement this evening that we're doing a non-traditional school day, how we're doing with days, or
Yeah.
days out that we've had, and
Sure, I can tell you about that now if you want to. I mean, we're kind of out of order, but I don't mind to update you.
oh, that's fine.
Just real quickly under board members and superintendent discussion. So we had the 5 free days.
Mhm.
We've used all of those. Those are gone. Yesterday was the last one. We had already used 2 of our non-traditional instructional days for other things. This is the 3rd one. Will be tomorrow.
How many of those are we allowed?
We have 5.
5, I thought.
So this is the 3rd one. We have 2. We'll have 2 left. Those are where we work from home. The 200-day staff work from home. Custodians are brought in on those. Students work from home. They have those assignments. They know which day to go to, what's next, and that kind of thing. So that's what the difference is between the 2. We talked a little bit last time. We run into an issue with the 5 free days are credited to the employees as a day having worked. So we went back. We actually had ended up calling somebody because we knew we weren't bringing custodians in for a reason on those days, and we had to give them credit for it. But we couldn't remember why, because we haven't had free days since back in 2018, I think. So we went back, and we actually had somebody on the phone trying to figure it out, and we found stuff from 2018 from the State Department. It was actually before you. It was a thing that Vita had shared, which was a financial thing from the state finance office that said those were credited as a day for those employees. So it's one of the base 200 days that everybody gets access to, which is why we were kind of struggling with who do we bring in, who do we not bring in. We did go on to just decide in-house that if folks have OS days, if we need to make them use the OS days, we can make them use the OS days, but otherwise we have to watch how we treat those. I think if we would get a grievance, it could be a concern, but at this point in time, I think we've handled everything thus far correctly. But those are different. So those days are an automatic credit on that base 200 that everybody works. The NTID are work from home days that the state has granted us because of, again, bank time that we have the additional 30 minutes in the day. And those days, custodians can be called in, principals can be called in, staff can be called in. So if we need to, and probably what will happen if we have another NTID that we have to use, based on this cold weather, we'll probably bring people in and let them do some things in their classroom and let them work. Decided not to do that today. Went back and forth on it a little bit. Back roads are still icky. Tomorrow's supposed to be super cold, so we just decided we'd wait one more. But I think if we end up having that to happen again, we might have to bring them in. But that's where we are on those days.
Yeah,
so.
because you weren't sure about the bus drivers coming in and
Correct.
and doing shoveling snow or
And maintenance guys coming in, and that was our concern with the free days. Those are gone, thank goodness. Those were the days we were worried about.
Now, does that pertain to only 200-day employees? Or
It's all of them. So the stuff from the State Department said anybody that works at a school, regardless of the number of days that they have. The concern that I struggle with is there are a lot of 261 custodians in schools. We don't have any, but let's say you're a 261 custodian in a school. I don't see how that's any different from any other 261 employee. And so I was just trying to balance how we handle those. My folks are not complaining. I mean, we're not having any issues with that, but I'm just trying to make sure we're using them the correct way. And so we're going to try to get something in writing for next year that's in policy that says, this is how these are going to be used for these. And I think having it in policy, right, wrong, or indifferent, will at least be, this is why we do the things that we do with those 5 free snow days. Because it's always, do the custodians come in? Do the custodians not? Who has to work? Who doesn't? So
It is.
yeah, it's not just a base 200 like you would think it would.
Well, we're having a normal type of winter that we haven't
Haven't
had
had a
in
long
years
time.
and years.
That is the truth.
And it's really interrupted the school schedule.
Mhm.
Really, really has. And it makes you think, gee, my grandson Charlie, he's been up with us, and he had the whole month of January, from before Christmas, off.
They have that scheduled.
Yeah, the year round, and we might want to Of course, you never know. It could be 60 degrees this time next year.
Could be, or
You
next week.
just, yeah, you just don't
Not next
know.
week.
Not
But
next
if
week.
it,
The long term's not best. There's gonna be more cold days in February, not as many, but it's a long ways from over. So much for global warming.
It's only warming in the summertime. It's only warming in the summertime.
anyway, I don't know if we'd want to think about maybe doing some of the OS days in January.
Yeah,
When, when the kids, I know that the VOTAC, that it's really, really difficult, but it just seems like that the probability of having cold weather and all that in January and February are usually pretty good, but.
we'll get you some of our calendars here when they're ready to go. We're waiting on, Grant and Pendleton to finish and finalize theirs, and then we want to put that one in with our options and to show you guys too, so you can see what the differences are. So you have it all.
Okay, under announcements, our next board meeting is February 3rd, and we're meeting at Moorfield Elementary School at 5:00. So, mission statements and accomplishments.
Condolences to Pam, like her mother passed away in the last couple of weeks.
I think our new governor is telling us how much of a deficit our state's gonna be in before long, and there's gonna be
Big time, wasn't it?
budgets coming, cut
Big
down, I
cuts.
believe, so something we need to pay attention to a little bit.
I
Oh,
think
we had
our,
What was
a
it,
whole
40,
bunch of money in
44
the,
million?
44 million, that's what they say in deficit.
I think that's up to the governor, honestly. I think when they do they determine
Sure.
whether they're setting the budget, so they're determining if you're in a deficit or not a deficit based upon not real money, but what their plans are, I think.
I think he's also indicating that he's going to support more,
choice.
choice,
Yeah.
choice,
Yeah,
School
which
choice.
is scary.
that's a real shame. He should be, as our governor, he should be proud of the public schools and the quality of the school system in the state.
We're just gonna have to make our own way, it looks like, and try to promote ourselves. Not sure it's gonna be an easy few years.
Now legislation will be interesting this year, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Congratulations to Miss Atkins.
Yes.
Oh, that was wonderful. I was really,
Yes.
Who's that, Jim?
Is it a
Allison.
list teacher?
Allison.
Allison Atkins is a national
Mathematics
and science
teacher.
Where does she
teacher.
teach at?
She, Moorfield Middle. She was here with the
Robotics.
robotics.
I saw where the Wilkins girl had, Ashley.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You know, that, she was
She's
Hardin County
recognized.
graduate, so I guess that would be an accomplishment.
absolutely.
You know, she got some kind of, like, top 30.
Yeah, 30 to watch, or 30 under 30 to watch.
30 under 30, yeah,
Yeah, she's something.
that's good.
She's great.
Okay, so are we ready to go into personnel now?
Motion to go to executive session.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to go into executive session. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, and we approve 4-0.
You be careful, Miss Sarah. I got a little flashlight in my pocket if you need one.
Yeah.
I saved your
Motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Second.
Have a motion and second to come out of executive session with no action taken. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? And it's approved 4-0.
We're down to personnel where we need a motion for the top two, right?
Motion to approve the superintendent's contract.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the superintendent's contract as previously discussed. All those in favor signify aye.
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 Opposed? And it's approved 4-0.
And the recommendation for B.
Motion to approve the central office additional special salary scale.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the central office additional special salary scale. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And it's approved 4-0.
And I would recommend to the board the approval of the January 21st recommended personnel actions.
So
Motion.
moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the remainder of the personnel actions of January 21st, 2025. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And 4-0.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn at 7:02. All those in favor signify aye.
Aye.
All right, 4-0.
You get over one.
Four.
You said here.